Hey y'all. So this is going to be another about me video. This is actually going to be about my chronic illness. So for those of you who have dealt with chronic illness, if you have any kind of like anxiety about hearing about like issues with doctors or like doctor related like PTSD, just know that this is going to dive into that, so you might not want to watch this video. So I got sick when I was 17. As I mentioned before, ate some chicken that wasn't cooked as well as it should have been, and I contracted a parasite. I had food poisoning like symptoms, and I tried to like push it off as it being that it was food poisoning. I wasn't bouncing back as quickly as I probably should have, and then I kept dropping weight, and it kept being ER trips for, the amount of pain I was in, and it kept being all of these excuses as to why it had to be food poisoning. And then I got hospitalized because I was in so much pain that I was passing out, and I was screaming, and I was begging for people to help me. And it was awful. So we entered this game of sorts of trying to stay out of the hospital, getting put back in the hospital, having people, ignore us and everything. And I was hospitalized over 20 times over the course of a year. Basically, because of where I live, I had to be seen by the children's specialists in the area until I was 18. I was not allowed to see a regular doctor, like an adult doctor. And so I was caught in a system of doctors that believed there was nothing wrong with me. They said that it was all in my head, and that I was making it up, and that I was just dealing with an eating disorder and I needed to see a psychiatrist. But then I started having seizures, and it started to get scary. Because yes, I was dealing with an eating disorder simultaneously while I was going through my gastroparesis. But my eating disorder did not negate the fact that I did in fact have gastroparesis. It's a common thing for teenage girls to get written off when they go in for stomach pain, or they go in for, throwing up and things like that, to be told, oh, well, you have bulimia. Oh, well, you have anorexia. You have an eating disorder. You need to see a psychiatrist, instead of looking at what the real issue is. When I developed seizures, it became very apparent that there was something serious going on here. And they couldn't figure out why they were happening. And finally, a doctor came into my room one day and said, I can't help you. We can't help you. We are not equipped to help you. So I want to discharge you. And those words terrified me, because it meant I would not be receiving the pain management I needed. I would not be receiving the, help when I was having seizures. I would not be able to rely on medically trained staff to help me face what was going on. And so I started sobbing. I was hysterical, because I was already on this like emotional ledge because of my eating disorder, but I was also so stressed out because I could not figure out what was happening to my body. And then he said, but I want to refer you to somebody who can. I want to send you to some place where they can help you. At this point in my life, I was on 13 different medications. It was a nightmare trying to keep everything like put together how we needed it, and taking things on the right time, and did I take that? Did I not take that? Who gave that to me? We were caught in a spiral. And then we got referred to the Mayo Clinic. And so we went down to Jacksonville. It was about a 5-hour drive from where I live. And we were, trying to be seen by a GI doctor. We were trying to see somebody about the seizures. We were trying to figure out it all. And when I went to see this GI doctor, I had such bad nerve pain along my skin on my stomach that I screamed when he touched me. I was terrified. I mean, it's like, have you ever seen that video of a dog that's never been pet? And so when it's being pet, it's screaming and it's just hysterical and it's terrified. I had been poked and prodded and made to feel so much pain at this point that he touched me and I screamed instinctively. And this nerve pain was like fire on my skin, and the churning, turning, like grinding pain in my side was never ending. And I was so exhausted all the time. And I was having to do these tube feeds, and I was still trying to eat, but I was throwing everything up, and I was so frustrated. And then they told me that I was having pseudo-seizures. And so pseudo-seizures mean they're not epileptic, which is a good thing. But you hear pseudo, and pseudo is a Latin word that means false. And some people take that to mean that these seizures are made up, that you're acting, that you're, pretending to have a seizure. That is not the case. Pseudo-seizures are still very real. The people are still, sometimes very unconscious. They cannot control it. It is muscular spasms. And I found out that I was having pseudo-seizures due to the stress that my body was being put under because of my pain. And we call it a pain processing issue. So when I get into severe pain, that's how my body copes. And basically we went home from my first trip at Mayo with that and nothing else. So they basically said, go take some pain medicine and come back when you can let us examine you better. And that broke me. I felt so lost because these were the people who were supposed to fix me. When I turned 18, I was finally allowed to see an adult doctor. And when I went to my first appointment, it took him half an hour to diagnose me with post-viral gastroparesis because of the things that he was looking at in my chart and because of his experience. And he told me that I had a 98% chance of full recovery within a year. And so we went through a whole year. We were treating the symptoms. I was seeing a pain management doctor now. Was on pain medicine. It was great. I was finally, I was functional. I wasn't eating, but I was functional. And that was something I hadn't been in so long. And then it didn't go away. So I had a J-tube placed, which is a surgical tube that is placed on your stomach. It goes into your jejunum, just like my NJ had, but it didn't have to go through my nose anymore. And that meant I got my face back. I hadn't seen my regular face in a long time, almost a year, and that was awful. And as I told you before, getting my spot at Reverie really was the catalyst for me to try, because I knew that I had to be strong enough. So I continued to eat, and I continued to try, and it took me a long time. And I ended up, let's see, I can give you an exact number. $3 years, 6 months, and 2 days of my life were spent ill. And now I eat normally. I eat like a normal person. Sometimes I get a little upset stomach, but everybody does. I had my J-tube removed about 2 weeks ago. I am pretty much asymptomatic. I haven't had a seizure in a long time, knock on everything. And life is finally back to normal. So, that is the deal. It's my story. I hope that if you have gastroparesis, that this was encouraging to you. And I hope that if you didn't know what gastroparesis was, that you are now educated. So, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to all of y'all next time.